Welcome to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stewart Willis. And Stewart is the managing partner of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Stewart, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing great too, and I'm so thankful that you took the time to come in and do the show, because I know that you have been extraordinarily busy lately. The television show has just taken your business to a whole different level.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's really helped us kind of reach out to people that wouldn't normally kind of seek help, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of the workshops we've done since, before COVID, were really kind of the main driver of our business. And now with the television show, we're just reaching people that would never go to those kind of events, in the past. And so it's been a true blessing, where most people in our industry have had a really tough time. I mean, we've gotten busier than we've ever been. So
yeah,
no, it's been great.
Can we talk about your two different locations? Let's talk a little bit about those offices if we can.
Absolutely. So we have an office in the West Valley. It's actually technically in Surprise, but it's actually closer to Peoria than it is true Surprise. But we're way far in the west. We're clients of ours that live in Peoria, Glendale, Surprise, Sun City West are big. That's where they go for the West Valley. We also have an office in Scottsdale, kind of east down Shea Boulevard, and we also have another office that is being built right now down in Tempe. So that'll be in February. But no, it's we wanted to make sure that people can come into the office, not have to drive too far, and make it convenient for everybody. But it's a funny thing we see. We have this beautiful office in the West Valley, our corporate headquarters, and people from Scottsdale won't drive to the West Valley to for help, but the people from the West Valley will drive to Scottsdale. So what we wanted to do is just make sure that people, no matter where you live in the valley, have access to a financial advisor that's gonna, that's a true fiduciary that's looking out for you and is convenient to get to.
Absolutely. Stewart, let me ask you a question. How does someone know that they're ready to retire? What kind of questions should they be asking themselves, and of course asking you?
Well, I think the important thing is to understand what is going to change when they retire, right? I think a lot of people, the first thing they do is when they retire, they think filing for Social Security. Remember, what we hope to do, especially during our Social Security portion of our conversation, is to help you understand as a retiree or future retiree that retiring and filing for Social Security are two distinct decisions that you're going to have to make. And sometimes people they're forced to do both simultaneously, but not always, because there's some really neat strategy we can involve when it comes to Social Security planning, when to take it, when not to take it. A lot of people just are so focused on what their buddies at work say at the water cooler that they end up taking it at 62 because they've heard it's going bankrupt, or just remember, the senior voting block is the biggest voting block in America, and to believe that Social Security is going away is just political nonsense, right? So when we were looking at some of the stimulus programs, and one of the things that one side was looking at was to eliminate payroll tax for a brief period of time. Then it would have to be paid back, and of course the opposition would pull up ads that say, "Oh, they're going to be bankrupt in 2 years." I had so many questions from clients in that 1-2 week period of time where they were pushing that. And people are just listening to these campaigns as if it's all true, right? Both sides exaggerate. This is campaign period. I mean, we're in, this is going to be a pretty pivotal election when it comes to policy, taxes, etc. So it's really important for people to have a real understanding of what their real situation is. Forget all the hyperbole, all of the marketing stuff you're seeing right now with all the political ads. Most of it is just huge exaggeration on both sides. Okay.
Are you seeing a trend of people retiring earlier these days? Are they waiting a little longer, or is it an even mix?
Well, it all depends. I mean, we are seeing a pretty neat influx of people that are being given offers, buyout offers from their pensions, from their 401ks, even some severance packages for them to just go away, right? So we're having people say, hey, my friend said this is the best option. Should I do it? Well, we'll calculate out whether it makes sense or not. Does it make sense to leave? We were doing some consultations with one of our clients that has a pension. And in his specific pension, when he retires, once he hits the age of 52, he is given full pension. There's no additional benefit for delaying it. So it makes no sense not to retire from there. When I say retire, I mean stop that job,
right.
and go start another one. Because you can start building up your second or third pensions at other places if they still offer them.
Okay.
So I think it's really important for people to look at all the options that they have and what are the implications for leaving, doing something else, for retiring. Are you going to be okay? And I think the one thing we do is we take all that mystery away, because we create that cash flow modeling system that I told you about, that we basically, we outline it for the next 20 years of their life. What does it look like?
Yeah.
And we have clients taking these substantial risks in the market when they really don't need to, right? So we did an illustration for one of our clients, and we showed him with a 2.2% rate of return on his money, he will not run out of money until he's 105 years old.
Wow.
So the question is, does it make sense to take all this risk when you don't need to, right? And then we see some people that are swinging for the fences because they haven't done a good job of saving. So now they're putting it full throttle in the market. Just put it into perspective. We're on this massive peak in the market right now after 11 amazing years. Right. Now, this year was crazy. It was a crazy ride, but we're still on a peak. But should you be taking risk of that nature when we're in this massive run of this bull market that could be coming to an end, in the next, whether it's, during election period, depending on what direction that goes, could have a substantial impact on whether this market corrects or not, right?
Sure.
Because both candidates are offering two dramatically different visions of the world.
Yeah.
One of them is kind of a higher regulation, higher tax environment. The other one is a deregulated, easy do business. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong. They're just different, and the market's going to react differently to each of them.
Sure, absolutely. Stewart, are you finding a lot of people are calling right now with questions regarding taxes?
Well, I think the nature of our company, tax is in the name of our company, and what we see is, I think, I can't tell you what other advisors are hearing, but I can tell you what I'm seeing is naturally people that are concerned about paying more taxes in the future are calling in because they want help with their situation, right? So what we do is we bring up subjects on this every week. We talk about, does it make sense to do Roth conversion? Does it make sense to, take distributions from your 401k or this asset or this? Well, because of the nature of our company having a built-in tax office at the office, I think we tend to get a lot of tax calls because right now people that understand what our environment is right now, which is the lowest tax environment in history right now for most of America. If you don't take advantage of that, you're just tremendously missing out on opportunity. Yeah. Without question. And some people realize it, right? And they realize, hey, the reality is Biden has been very clear. He wants to raise taxes. Trump wants to keep low taxes. And I'm not arguing which side is better or worse. I'm simply saying, we have a window of opportunity. If Biden wins the election, it's very likely that your taxes are going to go up as an individual, because if they're going to repeal the Trump Trump tax laws, the reality is everyone's going to pay more tax. Sure. Good, bad, I don't know. It's just going to be more expensive. Yeah. Right? If Trump wins, then, let's just say you're not a Trump fan, but even if he wins and he keeps taxes low, maybe we continue to build up a debt, but we're still in this efficient model. You need to put yourself into a situation where you have a plan that can dynamically shift as the environment shifts. So we're going to handle both outcomes pretty well. Okay. Now we may have a big rush in November, December to do some big planning, but it's important to have a plan.
Absolutely. Well, Stuart, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines for the very first time this week. So I'll tell them what they can expect to receive and give you a break from talking. Would that be okay?
Great.
To the viewing audience at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 833-652-7829. Stuart is offering you a complimentary consultation. Let him take a look at what you currently have in place and design a retirement plan that suits your needs, not only today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, knowing that no matter what happens in the market, you're going to be able to sleep with peace of mind. The most important thing is having a very good, comprehensive retirement plan. Again, we have 10 spots open. The number to call is 833-652-7829. When we come back, I'm going to have more questions and answers for Stuart about planning your perfect stress-free retirement. Please stay tuned.
What happens oftentimes is we'll run into clients or potential clients that have saved all this money, but they're 75, 80 years old. They've got this big pile of money, but they're not enjoying retirement because they're so worried about running out of money that they never actually get to enjoy their life's work. And so to me, it's really rewarding to be able to create a plan so that these people can have a great time in retirement, knowing that they're not going to run out, that they're going to be fine. I think it brings a smile to their face.
We get a lot of different people at a lot of different stages in their lives. And what we're able to do is, for some folks, it's able to tell them that you're on track. Keep doing what you're doing, and 15 years from now, you'll be retired and enjoying life the way you want it to be. For some people, it's people coming in and they're 3 to 5 years away from retirement, and you're able to tell them that, 5 years, 3 years, tomorrow, you're ready to go.
We are a complete shop. We handle estate planning, taxes, financial planning. We do a really in-depth cash flow analysis that is way more detailed than you'll see in the market.
Everything all in one spot, with the left hand always knowing what the right hand's doing. Because it's not just about the investments, but how's that going to affect your taxes? It's not where are you going to be 5 years from now, 15 years from now. And it's that back and forth full view of what the clients, not only today, but tomorrow and their legacy down the road is going to be, that really sets us apart.
And welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Stewart Willis, and Stewart is managing partner of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. I always have to go back and look because it's so much
mouthful,
to say.
right?
And I don't want to miss a word, so I want to make sure that it's perfect. So a great first segment, really just talking about, of course, the importance of retirement planning. We touched a little bit on taxes, Stewart. So I want to talk to you a little bit this time about annuities, if you will. There might be a lot of people in the viewing audience that have questions about annuities, or perhaps they're thinking that they're not a great idea because of a certain commercial that was running for a while. What is your philosophy on annuities? Are they a good investment for people to have, a good thing in their portfolio?
Well, different advisors have different opinions on what's appropriate. We're fiduciaries, and we try to be as neutral as possible when it comes to specific product or investments, etc. But some people are skeptical for good reason, right, when it comes to them, because they're expensive. There's an ad on TV and on the radio that says, I'd rather die and go to hell than buy an annuity or than sell you an annuity. And the reason they say that is because all they sell is a managed stock portfolio. So, oftentimes in marketing, people are trying to position what you have against what they have, and they're creating a problem. The reality is that there are some products, especially variable annuities, that are just really, really, really expensive. We can see 3, 4, 5% fees total built into these products, and oftentimes what people are paying for are benefits that they're never even going to use. For example, if you're putting money into a stock market investment wrapped inside an insurance wrapper, which is what a variable annuity is, there's just too many layers of costs involved in there. So imagine this, if an insurance company has to guarantee somebody an income for the rest of their life, but they're basing those guarantees on investments that you can choose yourself. Who would do that without underwriting the client, right? And so the way they guarantee these things, they just make it really expensive. And nobody's really paid attention for the last decade because the market has quadrupled. So even poor investments have done okay, even if they were expensive over the last decade. You can hide those fees in a great market. But what about if the market goes negative or goes flat? Those fees are going to become very apparent. So there's different annuities that do different things, and I am not a fan of most of them. There's a couple that make sense, in our opinion, to use as kind of just a bias against other sort of market-driven investments. So if we use that as a ballast here to kind of balance out as almost a fixed asset, it makes sense if we can strip out all of those costs and fees and so forth. I think everybody should have a portion of their assets that are immune to market volatility.
Okay.
But if all you're doing is wrapping an insurance wrapper over, a mutual fund, there are better investments to do that with than a variable annuity.
Okay.
There are some good ones and some bad ones for sure.
Okay, definitely. Let me ask you, Stewart, as someone is approaching the retirement years, how important is it to know what your risk tolerance is?
It's huge. It's incredible.
Okay.
And I think during our first and second meetings, so our first meeting is about getting to know each other. Is this a good fit? Do our services benefit you? And sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes what people have is fine the way it is, but it's important to get that second opinion, right? In the second meeting, when we're doing an analysis, a portfolio analysis, the first question, that I, invariably start out with is, how much are you comfortable losing?
Yeah.
So if there's a $500,000 account, for example, I'll say, are you comfortable if this thing loses $5,000? Yeah, I think I can handle that. How about 10? Yeah, no problem. All right, well, how about 25?
Yeah.
50? No.
Yeah,
and so everyone has a hard line of where their pain threshold is.
Sure.
And it's not right or wrong. It's about them. It's about their comfort level. And so once we outline where their pain threshold is, what we then do is we start the analysis. We review the analysis, with our clients or potential clients, and we say, if the market's correct, this is what your current portfolio is exposed to, this amount of risk. And sometimes the number won't be $50,000 of loss on a $500,000 portfolio. It'll be a $200,000 loss because, once again, people have created these portfolios for an up market, not for a down market. And we want to make sure that we have a strategy in place to accommodate for any of those variables. If the markets start pulling back, we need to make sure that the clients have a portfolio that meets their expectation, not just in good times, but in bad times as well.
Sure. So basically the importance of being able to weather any storm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me ask you as well, do you think it's important to pay down debt as you're entering the retirement years?
It all depends.
Okay.
So for some of our clients that have come in from, different, from the TV show and so forth, what we've noticed is that they have this massive amount of debt, and every time they pay it off, they just charge it back up, right? So it all depends. I think what's most important, like for the responsible ones, for the ones who kind of pay it off every month and don't carry debt other than maybe their cars or their house, I would just say it all depends. It depends. If you've got $200,000 in a checking account, but you've got a 7% mortgage, well, yeah, we pay it off, right? It doesn't make any sense to let the banks pay you 0.5% and then you're paying 7% for the same money in the bank. But here's the thing is that you always need to have enough cash available to write a check for any problem that ever comes up. And I think sometimes financial advisors will over allocate liquid funds into investments that have some risk associated with them, just to generate fees and commissions and so forth. And I think it's really important for you to actually be able to enjoy your money and have access to it, not have everything locked up in long-term investments with no access.
Absolutely. Well, Stewart, we're about ready to open up the phone lines for the second time this week. Can you tell the viewing audience what they can expect to receive by calling in?
Absolutely. So the first 10 callers that call in, we're going to offer a complimentary portfolio review where we'll take a look at any of the fees that you have associated with it and the risks that we talked about earlier. If you have annuities, oftentimes you don't really know what's in them, and we'd love to do a review of the annuities as well for you. Just call 833-652-7829. We'd be glad to help.
Thank you, Stewart. To the viewing audience at home, the phone lines are once again now open. The number to call is 833-652-7829. Don't miss the opportunity to have a complimentary consultation with Stewart. Again, the number to call is 833-652-7829. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Stewart Willis. He's managing partner of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Stewart, another amazing show. And again, we're coming to the favorite time of the show for me personally because it's viewer question time. And so as we're seeing the phone lines light up, they're actually leaving behind some really good questions. So you have no idea what I'm going to ask you.
Oh man, here we go.
I love this one. So the first question is, Stewart, I have a question. Is it difficult to do a Roth conversion on an IRA?
Well, the answer is no. It's pretty simple. You just fill out a form and you know, you do it. The question, the hard part is kind of determining how much to do and over what period of time.
Okay.
And oftentimes people just guess at it, right? There's no real strategy. They're like, I only want to pay taxes on this amount of money, but you know, with the elections coming up, the changing tax environment that we believe is very, very possible, the reality is that sometimes it makes sense to accelerate the rate of conversion. And so, you know, Roth conversion obviously is the conversion of a pre-tax IRA to a Roth account that you don't have to pay taxes on, even on the growth of it. So it makes sense to do a Roth conversion. The question is at what pace, and that's kind of where all the science is. That's where all the work is to really do that. And part of what we do when we do our analysis in our second and third meetings is to determine what's the best pace or cadence of conversion. For some people, remember, there's things you have to think about. Affordable Care Act, you know, there's thresholds there. There's Medicare penalty thresholds. And there's no right or wrong. Sometimes it makes sense to take penalties. You know, if you're going to take a $50 a month penalty to save $200,000, well, of course it makes sense, right?
Sure.
But, you know, some people just, you know, they want to avoid a penalty so much, and you don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish.
Okay. Okay, great advice. Thank you so much, Stewart. Another question that we have from a viewer is, when should someone consider a trust and what does it provide? I'm confused between the difference of a will and a trust. I'm leaning towards putting a trust in place versus a will. That's a great question.
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of companies out there that are selling living trusts, and sometimes, you know, their motivations are a little bit different. Generally, if somebody's, you know, selling a trust at a lower at a lower price. We see them for $7.99. They're really just trying to sell additional products on the back end. There's always a catch. Or they're doing it with a legal document preparer, which is kind of Arizona's version of a paralegal.
Okay.
We are only comfortable with our clients doing trusts with an attorney.
Okay.
It's super important, and we've had the same relationship with the same attorney for 15 years. Because what a trust does, it ensures, if it's properly funded and created, that your heirs are not going to have to go through a probate process. Now, we strongly recommend almost all of our clients have a trust. And some people jokingly say it's because, and I jokingly say it's because I'm a man of leisure and I don't want to have to go through the process of probate. I don't want to hang out with your kids in the probate court. But the reality is that it saves tons and tons of money down the road to make sure that, that your kids aren't tied up in a process in court and just paying tons of attorney fees.
Yeah.
So you can pay, $1,000, $900 now, or you can pay tens of thousands of dollars later. It just makes a lot more sense to have all your wishes in order, especially if you come from a family, like a two-family household where people get married in second marriages, where they each have their own families. They want to make sure their money goes to their kids, and these distributions get complicated.
Oh, yeah.
It's really difficult to achieve that in the form of a will, because what's going to happen is you have people contesting it. You go through a court process, etc. What the trust generally has is a no contest clause in there that makes sure that if they do contest it, they get nothing. So that's why there's generally not a ton of fights when it comes to the trust.
Very, very good. Well, Stewart, we have about a minute and a half left, but there's one more question I do want to get to today. It says, Stewart, I was one of the lucky ones to obtain one of the free complimentary consultations. I can't use the word free. Complimentary consultations with you. What can I expect to see when I come into your office?
Well, our office is very welcoming. The one thing that you'll expect to experience is not only a friendly face when you come in, but also no pressure at all. I've come to the conclusion that not everybody is meant to do business with us, and I'm, not everybody likes me. I mean,
Not true.
No, but the reality is that, you want to make sure it's a good fit. And the one thing that we can promise you is that if you come into the office, that it is a no obligation, no pressure environment, and we all have a good time.
Absolutely. Well, Stewart, I can't believe that we only have about 25 seconds left of the show. Every time we're together, it just goes by so very fast. To the viewers at home, that number to call once again is 833-652-7829. Have the opportunity to actually sit with Stewart, go over everything that you currently have in place. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next week. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and thank you for spending time with us again.